Greetings, I'm Dave Gilmore, and this is Design Intelligence. Leadership is a worthy calling filled with deep wells of fulfillment, well-being, and relational joy. It is a high and worthy calling, not to be entered into lightly, casually, or with a cavalier attitude. So what's at stake when candidates are selected for leadership ascension? Firstly, the reputation of current leadership is brought front and center when successor leadership candidates are considered. Is the selection of successors being made to maintain status quo or as a signal of transformation? Are new leaders being selected in the image of the transitioning leaders or against a powerfully envisioned future? These are not rhetorical questions, but questions that have to be answered for the sake of leadership viability. Secondly, transitioning leadership is ramping at an accelerating rate. The last 2 years of global pandemic, the rising uncertainties of retirement funding, and the sheer exhaustion of leading are the impetuses driving these exits. It is tempting to simply plug the vacancies with default candidates, but that would be a serious mistake with usually negative results. Any transition of leadership is an open opportunity to reimagine, redirect, and possibly transform the leadership-follower relationship dynamic of the firm. This requires careful and thoughtful thinking, planning, and execution, and ought not be done too quickly. Thirdly, there's a mysterious, almost unseen dynamic that emanates from leadership through and across an organization over time. It's seemingly in the water system of the firm, the subtle shadow resident in how the firm conducts its day-to-day work. What am I referring to? Well, at Design Intelligence, we often say, as leaders go, so go organizations. By and large, leadership sets the cultural tone of the organization, the ways and means of a firm's work. Leadership comes in all shapes, sizes, attitudes, and manner, and when thrown together, make for a potpourri of personality expressions. In this mix, the mishmash of human interaction at the leadership level I'm referring to. As leaders apply their way and manner to the day-to-day work of leadership, the cultural mores of the organization morphs accordingly. When indecision, ambiguity, reactionism, command control, absence of detail ownership, arbitrary governance, and more work through leadership into an organization over time, the organizational structure and culture is altered. People eventually adjust and take less responsibility. Less personal ownership is embraced and exercised. Protective individualism eventually becomes the unspoken norm. To each his or her own becomes the moral dynamic, and authentic collaboration cohesion is faint. Placing leadership is the most serious work of any organization. Its implications and ramifications stretch out over years. So how are you approaching this? What deliberate and intentional work are you putting into leadership development, leadership assignments, and leadership accountability coupled with performance consequences? If you're currently serving in a leadership role, these questions are for you. They're essentially tied to the core values of the firm, spoken and unspoken. You are charged with the healthy sustainability of the organization, and that comes down to how you're leading and preparing the future of leadership in the organization. What kind of leader are you? Until next time, I'm Dave Gilmore, and this is Design Intelligence.